Welcome to What Matters, a podcast that looks inward at unique experiences, upward for divine direction, and outward at God's activity in our world. I'm Michelle Funk, your host, and I'm so glad that you're with us today. Be sure to subscribe. That way you won't miss any of our episodes. And I am delighted to introduce you to a guest this morning who has lots to say about a very important topic and role in all of our lives. So welcome, Susan Brown, to the podcast. Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. What a beautiful room we're in. This is so fun to be here. Thank you.
It is kind of fun. I love it. I love it. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
My name is Susan. I have been worshiping at Church of the Resurrection for 10 years. I think we became official members here at the church probably 8 years ago and have been that entire time that I have been at church has been spent in building better moms. So it was fitting that this last year I took on the role of program director for Building Better Moms, which is a community of women to learn, grow, and serve together. There are groups specific to the different ages of kiddos. So I started out in an early childhood group and just kept having babies, kept staying in early childhood. Finally, when I had a third grader, stepped up to the elementary group. And then down the road, there is also a middle school group, a middle school, high school group, groups for moms of kids in college, and even groups for moms of 20s and beyond. Which is exciting to get to just continue to grow in motherhood. I absolutely love that ministry, and it's such a blessing to get to be a part of it. It has been a really, really difficult time to take over any ministry. Yes. The learning curve has been steep. I'm not even sure that it's a curve. It's just like a straight up
incline.
Yes, an incline of a mountain of learning and figuring out how to do a huge ministry like this and connect with women and help provide a community. But it's been super fun. I have learned a lot. I have prayed a lot. I have cried a lot. If Michelle, I know you know, but I'll share with our listeners that I'm just naturally a crier. That's my jam, is that if I just get overwhelmed and I just start sweating from my eyeballs, that's my thing. So it has been a natural journey of just evolving in my own faith and coming to connect with women and empower moms to know that they matter to God, and who they are as moms shaping young lives is so important and so wonderful. I have 3 girls. They are 10, 8, and 4. My 4-year-old gets to come to preschool here 3 days a week at Church of the Resurrection, and it is such a blessing to get to come through these doors 3 days a week. And then now on Sundays, it feels amazing to get to be in this sacred space. And I'm so grateful to be here in this sacred space joining you today.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. Your kids are all at those even ages, 10, 8, and 4.
That was really planned.
Perfectly.
Not planned at all. Just good luck.
That's just how it works out.
Yes.
How it works out. Well, I'm the mom of all boys, so it's fun to meet a mom of all girls. And at some point, we'll have to compare if we dare. I don't know. But momhood, it's a big deal. And sometimes I feel like, for me personally, and I hear this from other moms, it can involve a lot of pressure. Maybe pressure we put on ourselves a little bit. And I thought this would be a great time to have conversation with you with Mother's Day approaching. So what would you say about Mother's Day coming up and about this idea of living into it without all this extra pressure that sometimes we find ourselves under?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. You asked about motherhood and the pressures of being a great mom. I think there's a reason why we look at God as traditionally as a man and as a father, because dads have a tendency to be a little bit more hands-off. And I think that's how God works in our lives. God kind of gives us the tools that we need to live a great life. And then he's like, I want you to do the best that you can. And us moms were like, do you have a sandwich? Do you have a snack? Do you have clean shoes? Are your socks clean? Like, moms are in the details. And that is so different from the way that we see love from God, and the way that we are loved by God is so different. And then as moms, we are so focused on what those details are and how do we make sure that everything is perfect for our kids.
Mhm.
And God is more of a, you know what? It's not all going to be perfect, but I'm going to be here for you.
Mhm.
So as a mom, I try to take that step back. My kids' lives are not going to be perfect.
Mhm.
And I want to step back and be there for them. And I think that that's more my role than, making sure that my kid always has an amazingly perfect hairstyle and that their
Mhm.
outfits are always awesome and that they know all the things that they need to know for school. And I'm going to try and support them as best I can. But the most important role that I'm going to play is to love them the way that God loves us, unconditionally and
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah.
So there, now I can go ahead and hop off that soapbox.
Uh-huh. No, that's good. That's
Um,
so good.
you also asked about Mother's Day. A big part about for my own motherhood journey, it has been, I love being a mom. Obviously, I love it, love it, love it. Um, and Mother's Day, I feel like is like, I don't know, the New Year's Eve of being a mom. Like you get to everything is about you. And I love it on Sundays
Mhm.
when they pass out flowers at church. And like I remember as a kid in the Catholic Church, there was this one family, and all the moms would wear on Mother's Day would wear these giant corsages. I don't know if that's a thing anywhere
Yes.
else, but I remember this one family that I went to church with bought corsages, and I thought
Oh.
that is so cool. Someday I'm going to be the mom who wears a corsage at church. Do you know how many times I've worn a corsage at church? 0.
0.
Because if I did, people would be like, "What's happening over here?" Um, but I just remember thinking how special to have an entire day dedicated to celebrating moms.
Mhm.
And as I became a mom, that got really depressing as there were,
Mm.
some letdowns.
Yeah.
And when I think about Mother's Day now, I think a lot of times about the hangover after Mother's Day, not because I'm tying one on at brunch on Mother's Day, but because we spend so much time building up and, spending the day just kind of relaxed. But then the next day, all the chores of,
Right.
somebody brought me breakfast in bed and now there are toast crumbs all over in my bed. So now I
Mhm.
spend all day Monday washing my sheets and my comforter
Mhm.
because someone kicked over an orange juice. And, like that's the real life of the nitty gritty of being a mom.
Yeah.
And sometimes that feeling of, I've built this up so much in my mind that then there's a little bit of a letdown after the fact.
Yeah.
And that feels just kind of a bummer. So that's one portion of Mother's Day. The other thing is, I mentioned feeling really let down. I wanted for my family to do all these things. I wanted them to know that I wanted, I don't know, new earrings, or I really wanted to have flowers planted in the planters out front, or whatever it was that I really, really wanted that year.
Mhm.
And again, you want to know how many times my family has done those things? 0.
Yeah.
And then when I start telling them, you know what, this year for Mother's Day, I really want a comfortable lawn chair to
Mhm.
sit in at softball games.
There you go.
And you know what I'm going to get this year for Mother's Day? A really comfortable lawn chair to sit in at softball games.
Yeah.
So I feel like when we're honest with our loved ones about what it is that we want,
Mhm.
they can meet us with that.
Mhm.
When we expect them to just know, they're not going to know and they can't meet those expectations. That's impossible.
Right.
The other thing I ask for every year on my birthday and Mother's Day, I just want my kids to get along.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the season of life that we're in, if it's the ages of my kids, if it's that we've been together a lot over the last year and we're all kind of sick of each other,
Mhm.
or if it's that my daughter's personalities are too alike or too different or what it is, but they butt heads so much.
Mhm.
And I ask every year for them to not fight.
Mhm. Just get along
Yeah.
today.
I just don't want to listen to you bicker all day
Mhm.
long.
Mhm.
And I feel like they try really hard to get along, and I'll even hear my oldest daughter, who's kind of the mother hen of the group, and she'll elbow them if somebody starts uh, getting too sassy with her sister, getting not sharing toys or whatever whatever is the fight of the moment.
Mhm.
Um, but the truth is, they're little, and
Mhm.
that's I think how they show love to each other is that they, kind of pick at each other just a little bit, and to expect them to be able to just magically stop sharing having this huge piece of their life. I mean, they fight with
Yeah.
each other all day, every day. So why would they magically stop for one day?
Yeah.
I think is too much of an expectation, too high of an expectation, too much to ask
Mhm.
of little kids. So I try to be a little bit more realistic um, as I've gotten more seasoned in Mother's Days.
Yes.
Because those first couple Mother's Days were sad and hard. And I felt like, gosh, I do so much and you guys don't know what it is that what would bless me for this day. Well, I just have
Mhm.
to advocate for myself and
Right.
say what it is that I want and ask for, what I need and what is going to make me to feel blessed. There's
Right.
no benefit in asking and expecting somebody to read my mind or guess successfully. So you have to put your expectations out there. And then once you've put your expectations out there, drop them down a notch or two.
Yes. Lower them.
Yes. And I don't want that to sound like
Mm.
I ever want to make myself smaller or I ever would want to encourage women to do that. I mean, gosh, I think we do that naturally just by nature of being a woman and being a
Right.
mom is that we put ourselves last so often.
Mhm.
Um, but I do think it's important to be realistic with our expectations, and we're always shooting for the best for ourselves and for our families, but also taking time to celebrate what we've done and what's awesome and what makes us a great mom and makes motherhood fun and exciting and not always worried about um, does this look right? Is this an Instagram worthy post? Was this
Mhm.
brunch so great that I need to post about it? Was this something that um, was the most wonderful Mother's Day ever?
Mhm.
No, probably not.
Right.
But it can be the most wonderful Mother's Day today.
Yes.
And that's what I think makes motherhood really special and makes it fun is
Mhm.
to stop trying to make everything perfect and having realistic expectations with ourselves and with our partners and with our kids.
Right. And I think that's the key. It's avoiding this idea of perfection. Oh, it's Mother's Day. I'm going to have breakfast in bed and it's going to be fantastic. And then I'm going to have, my family's going to do this and it's going to be wonderful. I think you're right. We set that up so much with this idea of perfection that nobody can achieve that. No family can achieve that. So getting over the perfect
And I think a big part of
mindset.
that, I mean, just for myself, is figuring out what is important to me. Is it important to me that I go sit at a fancy restaurant and have brunch with my 4-year-old? No,
Hmm.
that is not important to me. That sounds torturous. Um, but is it important to me that I get to spend some time with my own mom? Yeah, it is
Hmm.
important to me. Is it
Hmm.
important to me that I have a little bit of time by myself because I never do?
Hmm.
Yes, that is important to me.
Right.
And it's also important to me that we get to worship together as a family.
Mm.
And those are the three things that I want to do to celebrate Mother's Day. That's what blesses me.
Mhm.
And then I've got to tell my people that
Right.
and
Yeah.
make sure that everybody understands that's what mom wants for Mother's Day. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, and please don't fight.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And as soon as the soonest that you can learn that your kids and family is they cannot possibly read your mind, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And that's such a hard lesson to learn as a person and as a mom
Mhm.
that I can remember being a brand new mom and I would get up in the middle of the night and I'd be feeding a baby or I'd be changing a diaper or just awake because somebody needed to be patted back to sleep or whatever crazy thing was happening with the baby.
Mhm.
And I remember feeling so spiteful that my husband was not in the room doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Well, he didn't know. He didn't know that I wanted him to get up and hang out with me
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I just remember having that conversation with him one day that I don't actually want you to come in there. I just want
Mhm.
you to want to come in there.
Right.
But you just stay in bed. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, "Okay. I really want to come in there."
I just didn't know that that's
Yeah.
what I
I
needed to
didn't
say.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that you wanted me to want to come in there. But yeah, just figuring out what matters to you and then advocating for yourself to the people around you. I think that's so important. And I think that is really what God calls us to do as Christians Figure out what matters to you. You can't take up every single cause for all the things,
Right.
but what matters to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what matters in the life of Jesus was to love one another.
Right.
Okay, now how do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take steps to actually put that in motion and make that a reality. We figure out how do we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You, your take on this idea of expectations, I just have to share. So my kids are a little older than yours. They're young adults now. I do have a college kid yet in school, but when our first started to attend college, we got to go move him into the dorm room. And I had all kinds of expectations around this. I'm going to get to organize all the clothes, his desk, the bedding, it should match. What's your roommate, what color scheme do we have going? The kid could not have cared less about that.
Aw.
And I had to learn, that's important to me, but it's not my college experience. It's really his college experience, So driving home wounded because he didn't let me, make the bed and tidy up the desk and this and that, I had to do a little self-talk and realize, he's actually the one going to college, not me.
And that's such a hard spot to be in as a parent that, yeah, you want to do all of the things. And I think about that. I'm sure that's how God feels all the time.
Mm.
God wants to, he knows what we need to do. But he's given us free will to go on and do our things. And in the same way, you've raised your sons in a way that they know the things to do. And that's so hard to give them the freedom to, okay,
Mhm. They need to own their own space.
make the
And
mistakes.
yeah,
If you don't put hospital corners on your dorm bed,
right.
you will still survive. You will look like a ragamuffin, but you will still survive. And letting them, experience those things and learn them the hard way and figure out the right path and the steps to be the best version of themselves.
Mhm.
It's really, really hard.
Mhm. But I tell you, once you do lower your expectations in a more realistic, not in a woe is me, or like you said, I'm not going to make myself small. I'm still want to be part of this experience. But changing those expectations was so freeing for kid number 2 and 3. It's like, here you are. Here's your dorm room. Have a great time getting organized. We're going to go out to eat for lunch. Bye bye. And it was awesome. It
Yeah.
made it so much more fun the next time around. So just having that realistic expectation as a mom makes it so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And realizing it's not it meant to be hurtful. It's just the child, the young adult at this point, the college kid, whatever it is, needs to own their own experience. And I just want to be a part of it,
Yes.
They had terrible, messy dorm rooms, I'm going to say. That's all. That's the bad news of the whole story.
That's why there are hotels that you can stay in when you go to
I
visit your
know.
children.
I know.
So you can not see that.
Exactly. Exactly. So Mother's Day is coming up. Like we've said, what is a great go-to Mother's Day gift?
So I'm shameless. I will say my very favorite Mother's Day gift, the best Mother's Day gift you will give yourself is a Building Better Moms registration. That community is such a wonderful space, and it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
The groups meet all year. They run the school year, so they start in September and run through May.
Mhm.
And it is really a community where you can show up and be seen and valued. The kind of the crux of the program is that we are meeting moms exactly where they're at. And that's
Mhm.
so true. We tried to do that this year during the pandemic, that we met over Zoom, we had virtual meetings, and we heard from really amazing speakers. And they talked about things related to, navigating screens when your kids are, what was the term? Quarantine screened. That there is so much screen time
Yeah.
during when you're at home and you're Zoom schooling, and talking about, how can you meal plan when your kids are home for 57,000 meals a day.
Right.
Um, it's so important that we talk with women about what's happening in their lives, and there's a great component of learning within those groups. And I think that that's what really sets Building Better Moms apart as a mom's ministry. But what I value the most out of a Building Better Moms group is the just community of sharing with other moms. There were so many things that I thought I was the only person experiencing this. I was the only person who, had a 4-year-old who still wore a pull up at night, and I was the only person who had a kid who couldn't tie her shoe going into kindergarten, and I was the only person whose child, I had a biter for a time. I mean, like all those things, and being able to hear another mom say, "Oh yeah, me too." And here's how I dealt with it. And not even the advice, but just a, "Yes, girl, I see you.
Right.
And that's so hard, and you are going to get through it."
Right.
And that was so freeing and liberating to have a community of people to not solve your problems, but just to hear what was going on in your life, in your marriage, in your neighborhood, in your friend group. How do you help take care of your aging parents? I mean, all of those conversations that are so hard and heavy can really, it's a lot to carry by yourself. So when you are in a community like Building Better Moms, you can show up and have somebody else to carry the burden with you. And that feels so good. But then also celebrating the really great things. We've had, over the last year, we've had moms celebrating engagements and weddings of their children, and we've had lots of new births. We've had lots of women celebrating lots of things. Kids learning to read and celebrating those things and those milestones with moms who get it. And it feels so great. I'll hear people say from time to time, "Oh, I've got plenty of mom friends." This is different because you really get to show up and be vulnerable and honest with where you are as a mom, what it feels like to be a mother, and wanting to lift all those pressures of being perfect. And those kinds of conversations are so powerful and meaningful. So I always feel like when somebody asks me, what is the best Mother's Day gift? Building Better Moms registration is the absolute best gift that you can give to yourself, or to a mom who you love.
Right.
Registration will open on Saturday, May 8th at 8 a.m. There are 16 groups this year. I misspoke. There are 17 groups. We have early childhood groups. Those are for groups of moms of kiddos birth to 5 years old. Then we've got elementary groups, obviously for moms of kiddos who are in elementary school. We have a brand new group starting this year specifically for moms of middle school kids, because let's be real, middle school is rough. And then we'll have couple of middle school, high school groups that are a combination for when you kind of bridge that gap between middle school and high school. We will have a group for moms of college age kids, 20s and beyond. And then I'm really excited about the BBM Online community that you will be offering. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, yes. So with this year of having to do a lot from home and do a lot online, we have realized that there are moms out there that don't have the opportunity to come in person. They may not live in this area, or they just simply can't come in, walk through the doors, whatever it may be. And we have gotten to know a lot of folks online through our various ministries here at church. And all of these people I have met online, they're saying, "Don't disappear on us next year." Of course, we want to have the in-person opportunities, and connection happens in amazing ways when you do gather together in person. But I've seen and been part of great community happening online. And so we're going to continue that for the Building Better Moms ministry and have a online only group, BBM Online. We'll never meet in person, but we'll do a whole lot of great things online, and we'll follow the same schedule and the same format as the ministry. We'll have great guest speakers, just like our other BBM groups do. We'll have great connection. We'll have small group connections, units that stay together and throughout the whole course of the year within the larger group. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. I kind of like my Zoom experience, actually. It's the whole thing. You put on a clean shirt and you wear your yoga pants. I mean, isn't that just what you do naturally? And so we're going to do that with Building Better Moms, BBM Online. It'll start up in September, just like all the other groups.
That's awesome. And I love that you are continuing that, meeting moms exactly where they are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very cool.
exactly. It'll be so fun to see, like, if we get to know some moms from across the country and what their experiences are. And you know what I'm going to guess is that no matter where we're going to find a lot of commonalities.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, momhood, it's a big deal. It's fun. It's great. It's frustrating. It's everything all wrapped up in one. But I love how you frame it within the context of how God is a part of it all and how he invites us to do this momhood thing with others so that no one feels alone. No one feels like it's only me. We can all relate to one another and say, I'm with you in this.
Absolutely. And I think the last year has really shown us we are made for community and
Mhm.
we are made for connection and being together. And, you know, maybe in years past, we've just done that naturally at school pickup or, waiting in the car line or, however and whenever you interact with people, you were interacting with people. Well, this year
Mhm.
when we weren't interacting with people, we had to get intentional and serious to make
Mhm.
connections with one another.
Right.
And I think that's where BBM makes motherhood really, really fun to feel
Mhm.
like you have some other people to connect with, and um, it, it makes me feel humbled to get to be a part of it.
Mm. Yay. Yeah. Well, happy Mother's Day in
Thank you.
advance.
Same to you. I hope your boys get you
Oh, all the things.
a
Oh, yeah.
fancy folding chair to
Yeah, yeah.
sit in at softball games.
I'm leaving subtle notes already all around the place, text messaging. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm not even subtle anymore. This is my laptop, and I'll say, this is what I would like for Mother's Day. Do you want
uh-huh,
me to order it?
uh-huh. You know what? And I don't need a lot. Just even a little, I would just like a little handwritten note or, personal text message would be awesome because they're not all right here under our roof. So, we don't need a lot, but we need a little bit. We need to let them know what it
That's
is.
that's so awesome. I just want you to text me.
I
That's all
know.
I want.
That's all I want. Just text me. Well, that's what matters with Momhood and with Susan Brown. And we want to invite you to take a look at the Building Better Moms website. So we'll have that linked up and available for you below. If you're listening only, it's very easy to find. Just buildingbettermoms.org. And you can see all of those details. Thank you, Susan, for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yay. I'm Michelle Funk, your host. See you next time. Very good.
Okay.
I think we did great. Thank
Yeah,
you. I think you
absolutely.
covered everything just beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you didn't mind. I had to tell my little story about, it was so